Hello everyone, we're going to be covering the Bughouse Qualifier arena here. Um, this is for a tournament run by the Collegiate Chess League. It's a yearly Bughouse tournament open to teams that are from the same university. There are not many teams here, but this started about 5 minutes ago. I think it's an hour-long arena. Let me see. Stand-ins. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 teams. They're going for 4 possible open slots. There may be teams join in later. We have 1 team with a national master. Other teams are not titled. We'll take a look at how they go. This game is interesting. I think taking the rook is better than taking the queen. Because pawn doesn't checkmate. You can always take the knight. Whereas for black, a pawn will checkmate white. So I think giving up the queen for the attack is basically a good idea. Black should be sliding the queen or the rook over to defend the king. Some luft has been created for black here. The material would be good for white. Ideally, you'd like a bishop rather than a pawn. Another possibility would be to try to get this bishop active. Okay. Now a knight would be good for white here. Firewoods has a pretty good attack himself. He's getting his pieces active. Going to be winning material, attacking the king. Firewoods looks fairly safe. I really like this bishop move. You're starting to win a queen or to win a bishop. And if the bishops trade, the pawn plants here. It's looking pretty bad for Brisk 50. Firewoods and Infinity Point are up an enormous amount of time, up about 25 seconds. This is going to be a free queen. Could play knight takes bishop and then wait for a pawn. I guess there's not really anything under attack. So another possibility would be to just develop. You get the knight out. Good. Play any of these moves. Okay, he's gonna trade 2 pawns for a bishop, but then the remaining bishop is in a good position defending the king. So I don't think that was a good approach, unless his partner really wanted the bishop, which I don't think he did. Infinity Point is a national master. He ought to know how to play chess, so he should be making some solid chess moves here. Actually, e5, probably pretty good, threatening pawn in, although he doesn't have a blocker, so bishop check could be a little annoying. Okay, instead he's pushing d6. You can just take this if there's a sack. Firewoods winning pieces on the other board. And can force a queen trade with queen at f7, or can just drop pieces in. Even a rook in is pretty good. Could even potentially bring the queen out. Rook takes pawn is good. Deflect the knight. A lot of great moves here. Okay, that's mate. Yeah. So great job, Infinity Points and Firewood. They're now on a 2-game streak. Let's find another game to watch. So they've just started another game. We're gonna watch some other teams though. Some players with some decent ratings here. Hugo on tilt, 1500. Not a professional, 1700. There's been a sack from Brisk 50. But if he doesn't get material, then this sack just loses pieces. And I don't see him get in like a knight. Brisk 50 downtime. So Brisk 50 seems to have gotten his 1500 rate in by being a sack sitter. Sack sitting not going to work out in general, especially when your partner is a 600. Really, he needs to develop these pieces and stop sack sitting. Not a professional, doing perfectly fine. Bishop is out is fine. Knight out is fine. Pawn in is fine. Not a professional, perfectly safe. I would take with queen here. I don't like taking with knight, because that still leaves the knight landing in. If the queen had come in, it could have protected the king. This pawn move, not very good. It creates light squared weaknesses. Right now, the knight covered. Okay, finally he takes with queen. I think you can get your bishop out to one of these squares. And then march your king over to safety. Ooh, queen trade. Not such a good idea for Hugo on tilt. Number one, the queen is very good for Brisk 50. Number two, like a rook mates you. Moving the queen away was a bad idea. The queen helps defend. Now this king is a lot more exposed. Like queen in, rook in is going to be very good. Even pawn check. Looking very bad for not a professional. I'm not really sure why not a professional is playing like this. He has a 1700 rate in. Maybe that's with very few games because he's not playing like a 1700. These moves are just not good. So put in some pressure on the rook. If you can get the rook away, then to bring his rook down. Like if you can take it somehow. I think you have to go to d8. This doesn't really accomplish much. Lots of things attacking that. Gonna have to do something. Probably just take this pawn. The rook covers. Although now the knight can take the queen. So this pawn check was just not good for Brisk 50. We could take that. Although not yet, because the queen mates in one. Brisk 50 up a lot of time. I think Brisk 50. Oh, wow. Brisk 50 should have told his partner to fix the problem and should have stalled until he fixed the problem and then traded the queen. Hey, Darkland Nightshade. Alright, let's watch Infinity Point. Infinity Point Firewoods playing against not a professional Hugo on tilt. They are, let me check the stand-ins. They're on a 3-game streak against a team on a 2-game streak. So one of these teams would be taken off the streak. Let me check how much time in the arena. They have 45 minutes. Top 4 teams progress to the tournament next week, which I believe is single elimination ladder. Like knight takes pawn, attacking the queen. This pawn is loose. This attacks and defends. Great move by not a professional. Queen trade on offer. Queen would mate him one for not a professional. Infinity Point is up time. He could start attacking. Pawn check, probably mates. Pawn check, knight check. With the queen trade, that's going to be very good. I would definitely throw in something on g6 here. If you could trust your partner not to give a queen, you could take this queen first, but that's not going to happen. Yeah, there's the pawn check. If we take, we have knight check. we take this way, then I will just queen in. So this looks mating for infinity point. Firewoods needs to survive. This is an interesting move. If pawn takes, there's knight check. And pick off the rook. Rook check might even be good. Then pawn check, bishop check, something like that. But yeah, this looks very quickly maiden for infinity point. Infinity point up an enormous amount of time, up 40 seconds. Knight check, take the rook. But after that, you have queen check, and there's no blockers, so you can take the knight. Knight check. Okay, that'll work too. If pawn check can take a pawn here, do it this way. You could get the knight in if you wanted to be fancier. He's doing it with all drops. And infinity point stays on the streak. Streak of 4 games, 13 arena points. Let's find another game. Okay. We're watching Sky Risma and A Topper versus Briss and Jose Mu. I'm a little confused. Sky Arisma and K Topper seem to be from 2 different countries, from Turkey and Brazil. I was under the impression that, by the way, knight would have made it here, but the 4th knight, probably hard to get. I was under the impression Collegiate Chess League required the teams to be from the same university, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Pawn here would be a funny move, just because pawn takes rook is mate, but really needs to watch out for knight at h3. Charisma probably going to get mated here. Knight check. It's going to continue to be good. Charisma is uptime. Oh, knight takes pawn. Makes him a little bit safer. And you have knight takes knight. That was not the way to go. Knight check, pawn check. But Briss 50 has flagged. Alright, I guess this team was an interesting match. It was two 1500s playing each other, and a 650 playing a 1050. Let's check out Infinity Points game. We've seen them do this before, just sack like this. Infinity Point is wisely taking the rook. Better to take the rook and the queen. Again, the reason we're going to see here, because king takes knight is an option. And this is an even trade in Bughouse, but Infinity Point has a much safer king. It's going to take a queen to mate him, whereas Briss has a very unsafe king. So rook check still a good idea, and maybe chase this king around a little bit. I like the knight over here. I don't like this move. You can't take the bishop because then it's mate. There's 50 going to try to keep attacking, but he's going to run out of material right now. That does not defend the mate, so that mate with a pawn. And again, Bris 50, Infinity Point have played this opening several times. Very bad for Bris 50, very good for Infinity Point. I do think Bris 50 could have won here when all the material came, but did not place the knights the correct places. I liked knight. I liked, so when the king was here, I liked knight check down here, with the idea that another knight check could follow, pawn takes, knight takes, and then you're defending this square. So you want to try to defend yourself while you're attacking. Another option would have been to create some luft. So at some point push this pawn, so at least the king could come out. But the huge advantage of taking the rook instead of the queen is you just have this mate threat forever. Alright, let's find another game to watch. Oh. Was that? No, that's the same game we just looked at. Not a professional, K-Topper. Okay, here we go. We're trying to tempo the queen here. The king is fairly safe. You can take the queen. Now a knight would mate, but he's just going to take this. Knight defends the king. So Hugo on tilt should be okay. But Not a Professional has mated K-Topper. Let's check the standings real quick. 5-game streak for Infinity Point. They're beaten their closest competition 17-7, but top 4 teams progress. 1, 2, 3, 4 teams. So there's 5 teams coming in here. This team in 5th place really needs to get some wins. Hey, Robert Oppenheimer. Great to see you as well. Alright, let's see. Are there any games going on? Where are our games? Okay, let's check out Infinity Point. I don't like pushing the c-pawn. That leaves dark squared weaknesses. I think I have to take this way. Okay, we see those dark squared weaknesses. And this king is kind of boxed in. If he had a bishop check to cover the square would be good. He might actually want to sack the bishop to give his king more luft. But it's a bad situation to be in. Did first place win all their games? Great question. We can check that out. I think so. Yes, they're 5 out of 5. So first place is winning all their games so far. Top 4 teams progress. So really this is a battle between 4th and 5th place. But I think the 5th place team isn't even playing. I think they played 1 game then dipped. They played 1 game and lost then dipped. Maybe they don't realize that, like, if they keep playing, all they have to do is win like 2 games and they can progress. This is a double check. If we take, this is mate. If we take here, I think that's the only way out of that. Oh, that's mate too. Yeah, this is just mate. This is a weird configuration. But this looks like mate no matter what. So really, Not a Professionals team, Hugo on tilt, they ought to move to the next game. This is an arena, so there's no point in sitting it down. Maybe he's looking to find a way out, there just isn't one. So let's move on. And they've resigned it. Infinity Point playing another game. Let's watch it. I see Big Fun was playing in the tournament as well. I saw Big Fun, I think in the 3rd arena. So it might have been the 2nd one. Joe Bruin has been streaming most of the arenas, both on the Joe Bruin channel and on the Collegiate Chess League channel. But he's not available right now, which is why I am broadcasting this one. I don't like this pawn push. creates a light squared weakness, and it also fails to develop a piece. So better to bring the knight out, or the bishop out, or something like that. Pawn could fork a piece here. Here's the leaf being played, which is a bad opening. Black just gives up a pawn for basically no compensation. A lot of people like playing the leaf. I think it's a bad opening. You're basically down a pawn. He doesn't even take back this pawn. He could stick another pawn in to win another piece. Okay, now a pawn is good for infinity point. Also, this bishop takes pawn is reasonable. Bishop takes pawn first and then pawn in could be quite good. Or we could take this pawn. He's putting the pawn in immediately. And following this, he's going to promote it, I assume. Putting a lot of pressure on black, but black still has this pawn and thorn in the side. Could drop a pawn in. G2 is open for a knight or a pawn. There's possibilities here. We're attacking this pawn on the right board. Probably want to play bishop out or new bishop in to defend the pawn. Also, bishop check would have been good. Attack and defend at the same time. I think you want to open up your rook file. These queens might trade. Sajid GM really needs to move. He's down 40 seconds at this point. What are good black openings? That's hard to say. Black's opening depends a little bit what white plays. I'm definitely not an opening specialist. The basic gist is much like chess. Oh, rook mates on this board. The basic gist is just like, well, bishops move backwards. He realized the bishops move backwards. That was a free queen for nothing. Much like chess, it's important to develop your pieces. So an opening that develops your pieces doesn't leave holes in the position, so you don't want to move your c pawn or your f pawn. But if you develop your bishops and your knights, don't leave holes in your position, then you have more pieces active in the game. And when you have more pieces active in the game, then you can launch an attack or a counterattack. That's just a good idea in general. So I think Infinity Point is going to stall and let his partner clean up this mess. I like this queen drop because there's no rook to put in, which means if bishop comes back, we can take this pawn. Even if king goes up, we can still take the pawn. Queen takes pawn seems good no matter what. And again, no rook to drop. Taking that. Eventually he wants to block off this so that he can take the rook. So I just drop a pawn on d6, although the rook may swing over. There are like chessmate chances. Firewood's going to keep attacking. Ooh, swing the rook over. Let's go for mate. Got some left for his king. That's a good idea. This guy is timed out. What are these countries? Palestine and Algeria. Again, I find it odd when there's teams with people from two different schools. I thought you were supposed to be from the same school, but that's something maybe Bug Fun can answer that since he is competing in this tournament. Does your team have to have two players from the same school? That's just a hung knight. The pawn is not pushed yet. This knight doesn't have many great places to go. And earlier bishop could have taken the knight as it disrupted the pawn structure, and you want to get this bishop out anyway. This pawn is hanging. He's gonna choose to defend. Pushing the pawn is reasonable since it's under attack anyway. Pushing pawn, if pawn takes, you have knight check, can win the rook. Now a bishop wins the queen. They are not up time because Firewoods is sit-in. I have no idea why Firewoods is sit-in. Should be rolling up moves. Maybe he would have like a bishop. Bishop here would have been good, but not worth sitting for. He's going to use his existing bishop to try to pin the queen. Bishop check is interesting. Maybe you want to push the pawn first. Or just knight out and bring the knight into a better position. A lot of chess moves for infinity point. You could also play pawn takes pawn, threatening to swing the queen around. I like this move in general. I think you take it twice, but then the knight can come in. If he doesn't deal with this threat, then he's going to be in big trouble. Because if he plays something random, like this for example, bishop check, and this is going to be like a chessmate. Firewoods is down an enormous amount of time, down like, what, 40 seconds? What is Firewoods doing? I don't think they've lost the game yet, have they? Let's check the stand-ins. They've won all of their games, but I don't know what Firewoods is doing. Yeah, we see the knight swing in, attacking the bishop. Cutting off the king. Maybe he's planning on bringing the rook. Maybe he wants to bring the knight out over. Alright, attacking the knight. If the knight moves, then a pawn mates. And his partner can take a pawn. It's a really bad strategy because they're down so much time. First 50, 1500 should know enough to stall. He could just stall and flag Firewoods, taking them off their streak. Yeah, that was a hard throw by infinity points and Firewoods. Firewoods just needed to move. I don't understand why a 1600 would just stall the whole game. Very weird. Okay, so let's watch Not a Professional. Could take this pawn. Supporting this pawn seems fine as well. Okay. Attacking the pawn. This knight under attack. I like this knight move. Just get your pieces active. So if queen takes, knight's going to come in. Knight takes pawn. Threatening new knight in. Probably the queen is going to fall. This is a very good position for Hugo on tilt. Najela not going to survive. Taking the queen probably wasn't even the best move. Probably just dropping the knight to keep initiative was even better. But, oh, taking that was bad as well. Again, just because he had better moves, more forcing moves. So trying to win a queen, again, why would you take that when you can just check? Hugo on tilt is not making good moves. We're taking back for sure, so I'm not sure what he's waiting for. Might as well take back now. This is an interesting move. I like it. The idea is get your bishop developed in castle, and now your king is around all your pieces. This is a great move as well. Okay, knight mates. I like this rook move too. Was he uptime? He was downtime, so he couldn't have waited for the knight. You can still take the rook at any point. I'm probably going to do it next move. Oh, well now he has the knight. That's mate in one move right here. Knight at b7. Is he going to play the one move checkmate? He does. Hey, Synod. Yeah, maybe he is disconnected. I'm not sure. When we say disconnected, we're talking about the partner of Infinity Point. They're up. We are halfway through the arena. They're up so much. They probably could not play a game for the rest of the arena and still win the arena. All right, but let's see who we can watch here. Infinity Point playing again. His partner is moving this time. They are rattling off moves. Okay, luckily the bishop guards, otherwise this would be a fork. He did not notice bishops do move backwards. We got that for free. I like getting the rook involved here. Oh, this g2, great place for a knight or a pawn. Another pawn would be good. Rook over, pawn in. Another option is knight in. This is a mate threat because of the pin. Going after this pawn here. Okay, now a pawn is very good for h2. You can even move the queen in. Queen in would have been very good as well. Harwood is destroying on his board. About to win more pieces. He can take... Since we're losing this pawn anyway, might as well get a pawn for it. Oh, he wants to make his king safer. I think he should have just grabbed a free pawn. He should try to get these out, but okay. He's going for an attack. Meanwhile, on the left board, Infinity Point has a good attack. Can ignore this for now. Keep attacking. If we take this, bishop in is going to lead to mate. Bishop check. And then you don't even need another piece. You can move your bishop, move your queen. But a pawn in mates as well. Okay. That's another win for the Infinity Point team. We're going to check out Brisk 50. Playing with Jose Mu against Skyrisma and K Topper. Or K Toper, not sure how to pronounce that. Brisk grabs a free pawn, maybe picking up a rook. Also, importantly, vacates the square where a knight could come if a knight came. Skyrisma is threatening mate, but he's being attacked. We've got to take this. If you don't take the knight, bad stuff happens. You want to be careful about where you drop stuff. I don't think you want to drop on g7, g6, g5. Look good. King to the left. If you move up, then... Okay. So maybe pawn check here. I think pawn check, knight out is going to lead to mate. He might need one more knight, but I think if he sacks the rook, then this works. In other words, pawn check, king take, knight check, king down, rook in the corner. King takes rook, pawn check, and then rook check is mate. That's mate in one move. Oh, but it was made on the left board too. All right. Let's check out Infinity Point again, see what's going on there. This is a threat. No, well, I guess this is guarded. I'm not so sure I like that move. I think we have... Oh, trading the queens helps Hugo on tilt enormously. Hugo on tilt is downtime though, so he has to make some moves. Trying to make up the time here. Maybe you can just get a bishop out, something like that. Could go after this knight. Throwing in a check to gain some time. This is a free knight, actually. We could take this. Probably the best move for infinity point. Take, trade the queens, and win. I would just take the free knight. I see what he's trying to do, but this is not as good as taking the knight. For one thing, because the knight now keeps guarding this. Not a professional now has a win in attack. Queen check. Maybe he needs a little more because the queen guards here. But we could see knight check, then we could take the rook. Oh, that's clever. Okay. Knight check could be good. Bishop is crushing. Oh, wait, we can move our existing queen. Let's say chess move. And this should lead to mate. If king up, you have pawn checkmate. If we interpose, this is mate. So this is mate in one for not a professional. So Hugo on tilt does not need to move anymore because he is up time on the diagonal clocks. So very nice attack by not a professional. Hugo on tilt probably going to stall. He's not in any danger, but no need to take risks. They've resigned it. Let's check the stand-ins. Okay, so Infinity and Firewoods are first. Not a professional. Hugo on tilt on our second right now. Let's find a game to watch. Oh, let me see. Here, look another infinity point game. Just need to develop pieces. That's what we're doing here. Take, probably. This is a dark square weakness that can be exploited later. Even now, like knight check is interesting. Because the pawn can't take or we take the queen. So I like knight check. It's a spicy move. But instead, going after this bishop. I still like knight check. Okay, we could just drop pawns in. Go after these bishops. Finally finds the knight check. Going after a bishop at the same time here. Free bishop, we take those. The pawn is also free, but the bishop, a little bit better. Could you consider pushing the pawn to vacate a square for the knight? New knight in could be interesting. Because once you trade the knights, you're guard in b2. Okay, he's just going to guard with the rook. It's a quiet move, but it just keeps everything secure. He's found the pawn check. I think we jump the knight in. Now, you could let the queen go, especially if you get material. Knight takes pawn is a spicy move. As if you got a queen or a rook, that would be very good. Even threatens pawn and check after that. I like this move. This leads to mate. Well, not necessarily immediately. King down is fine, but if you take its mate, if you go this way, you have knight check, which probably leads to mate as well. Probably new knight in even better. So really, this is the only move that lives. So they're up 20 seconds. Firewood has a good position as well. He's basically up a queen. So trying to get knight takes bishop going here. And this is guarded. Queen here mates. Nice mate for infinity point. Alright, we're checking out Briz 50 and Jose Mu versus Sky Arizma K Topper. Hung the knight. Don't know what Briz 50 was thinking. Now we put a pawn in the way of the bishop. I don't like this. It weakens the dark squares. And we see him immediately go in for the dark squares. Even though Briz 50 is down a full knight, if he gets a pawn, he can win it back. And he is on the attack. Knight also would be good to attack the queen. So either knight at d4 or pawn check take knight. We're going to take the knight. White is going to get safe, but give back some material. He's deciding he could take the knight later, but that's not necessarily true. Knight comes up. Now he doesn't lose the knight. So Briz, in addition to hanging a knight in the opening, did not take a free knight. So Briz is making a lot of blunders. And unfortunately, his partner, Jose, has to deal with that. Jose just down a full knight. And Briz might even sack some more pieces. Here, I would probably drop a bishop. And if bishop takes, you can take back. But as long as his partner holds a rook, he could even go straight down. This seems fine enough because the knight guards the square. Briz really has no attack. Jose Mu on the run. He could push the pawn, go after the dark squares. He's going to move his knight to a better position. Bishop check would be good. He just takes back. Often people, their first instinct when a piece is captured is to capture back, which at the low levels is a good instinct in general. Oh, that wins a queen. But at the higher levels, sometimes you can make an intermezzo move that is even better. That's a free bishop, and also threatens mate. This is a great move. Nice find. He gets to attack and defend, win a piece. And that is what happened while we were looking at the other board. Mate versus Sky Arizma. Alright. Let's check out Infinity. By the way, let's check the arena stand-ins. Is that fifth team playing anything? Oh, it looks like the fifth team has played a bunch of games. but only 1-1 so far. So again, 4th, 1st, 5th, very important. There's top 4 progress. Ooh, that's a mate threat. Maybe new knight in would both defend the knight and defend the pawn. That does not defend. That seems like a mouse slip. That's a mate for Hugo on tilt. That was plus 11 for that team. So huge blunder from Firewoods. So let's find some games to watch. I do not like this C pawn push, C6. Creates dark squared weaknesses permanently. And we're going to see those dark squared weaknesses exploited. In addition, it misses the opportunity to develop a piece. So C6, extremely bad move. And we see this very often at the low levels in Bughouse. So this was a mate threat. He stopped the mate threat, at least for now. Really want to think about developing pieces. Okay, take a free piece. Can't argue with that. H1 a little bit weak. Oh, he's going for a Patzer mate. Maybe his opponent won't realize. Look at these weak dark squares. This is an even weaker move though. Now white has weak dark squares as well. Gotta watch out for this tactic. So if he, for example, just takes a pawn, then this could happen. But he's wisely moved his queen away. Try to go here, we could trade a bunch off. Even better would be knight check after that. Whoa, that's not good. This is a win for Sky Arisma. Okay, you can pawn check, new pawn check, then rook takes is mate. This is not nearly as forcing. Pawn check immediately won the game, like mate in 3. Okay, meanwhile on the right board, taking advantage of these weak dark squares, the king is already out. So Sky Arisma did not get the checkmate. Realized too late he had this pawn check. Now a rook mates for him, but that's asking a lot of his partner. So maybe you just take the bishop. Okay, now bishop takes pawn check, followed by knight check. It's going to be very good. Bishop takes g2. He's got to watch out for checkmate. So he either has to defend or every move has to be check. He could defend with queen takes pawn, but much more aggressive would be this. This is a terrible move. Cuts off the bishop. So a series of very bad moves. Hold on. They are up time. Rook mates. Take the rook. Rook at h1. Immediate checkmate. He's going for the queen. Only up 2 seconds though. Take the queen. Whoa. All that and he doesn't play the mate. Really bad moves. Extremely bad. This is another way to defend though. Knight takes pawn. Charisma for some reason is not playing checkmate. But now he has to worry about mate in 1. That just hangs a piece for nothing. Charisma has hung a series of pieces. A topper telling his partner to stall. A topper in some trouble now. This is a threat. I think you gotta go here. Otherwise knight check would happen. Here at least your knight guards. We can take that. That was not so good. I mean, I guess it's fine, but Doesn't mate immediately, but not a great situation. Oh, now knight, rook down, just crushed. Oh, okay, so that was a flag win for Skyrisma and K-Topper. Let's check the stand-ins real quick. Oh, they're on a streak now. The top three are pretty clear. Again, we are fighting for third versus fourth. Probably it's going to go to Briss 50 and Jose Mu. Let's find a game to watch. Infinity Point on Firewoods versus Hugo on Tilt, not a professional. This is good. Defends. I'll just take the pawn at this point, I think. Oh, he's going after the queen. Still, I would take the pawn. Or take the bishop. They're both free. He's going to continue attacking. He could take this pawn now. If we take back, we have two knights on this. I don't like the bishop here. I would have put it back here to attack and defend at the same time. Not a professional, just seems to be going for attack and never defense. It's not a wise decision, although he is fairly safe. Maybe just a new pawn at h3. You don't need to check every move. Firewoods found a nice fork to win a piece. Firewoods has a very unsafe king though, weak dark squares. What is that about? Okay, I guess he's trying to get the queen. That's a mate threat now. It's going to be hard for Firewoods to survive this. If he takes the pawn, then just like a pawn check. If king goes out, the queen mates. Goes back, queen mates here. So what do you even do here? Normally you would think about placing a knight on g6. Unfortunately, he has a bishop there. I don't know if there's a way to defend this. Maybe you push this pawn and try to get some luft. That definitely doesn't defend. Pawn check needs to mate. Queen here was not nearly as good. Now he's probably going to give up the queen. If queen takes, this is mate, by the way. Infinity Point has a nice attack. Push the pawn. If queen takes, I don't think you even take back immediately. Probably knight check first. But you could take back. Firewood's up a lot of time. Infinity Point has an extra queen to play with. Knight back probably leads to mate. Pawn check. We can take this rook while we think. And repeat. Oh, that's nice mate. Nice find. Only a minute 16 left in the arena. K-Topper Skyrisma versus not a professional Hugo on Tilt. I like this development. On the right board, black making some threats. I like black's position. One knight is good for white. If rook comes over, we could take the pawn, or we could just clear the queen out. Black should think about trying to castle. This is a Nice aggressive move. Try to win a pawn, although it hangs this pawn. Oh, queen trade. Not so sure about that. This is a very bad move. Just hangs the pawn. Oh, I would have taken this. And game aborted. The arena is over. So we're going to check the final standings. So winner is Infinity Point and Firewoods. And they had 11 out of 14 games for 34 arena points. Second place, Not a Professional, Hugo and Tilt. They had 25 arena points with 9 out of 14 games. So they each got 14 games in here. So 2 less wins than the first place team. Third place was K-Topper and Sky Arisma with 8 out of 13 points. So they got a few less games in. They had 23 arena points though. They got more streaks. They were very close to being in second place. And the real competition was for fourth versus fifth place. Fourth place we had Briss50 and Jose Mu with 4 arena points, 2 out of 14 games. And fifth place we had Sajid GM and Nad Jayla with 2 arena points, 1 out of 7 games. So top 4 progress is my understanding. So the fifth place team did not progress. Everyone else progresses. And I think that your standing in the tournament helps determining your seeding. So I think it's likely that the first place of this arena will play a fourth place of a previous arena. And a second place of this arena will play a third place of another arena, etc. So thank you for everyone who participated. Congratulations, guys. A quick shout out to Collegiate Chess League. So Joe Bruin runs the Collegiate Chess League. I'll shout out Joe Bruin as well. And the Collegiate Chess League is organized in this tournament. They have a Bughouse tournament once a year. Next weekend there will be, I believe it's a single elimination ladder from the 16 teams that have qualified from 4 arenas. So look forward to seeing that. So for now, let's go ahead and find someone to raid. I'll send a few streamers, we'll send a few viewers to, we're going to look for someone streaming chess. There was someone streaming chess and just chatting, but I think she's stopped that. So, oh, Anita Drink is streaming. Maybe we could raid Anita Drink. Let's do that. Thank you everyone for watching. Really appreciate it. Thanks to Joe Bruin for organizing this tournament and letting me know about this. If you want to see the other 3 arenas, they should be in the VODs of Collegiate Chess League. Joe Bruin covered the previous 3 arenas, but he had another obligation right now. I think at like Los Angeles Chess Club or something like that. And that's why I'm streaming this particular arena. Thanks everyone for joining me. I stream mostly Bughouse, so please follow if you haven't followed already. We will be streaming again Tuesday and Wednesday nights. That's the normal stream time. And maybe some random streams other times. Have a good one, everyone. Bye, guys.